Today, what I'm going to be talking about is Facebook ads and some of the top converting Facebook ad strategies for real estate. Now, there's a lot of things that people have, there's a lot of misassumptions and false assumptions people have when it comes to Facebook ads. There's a lot of mistakes that are very common that people make on Facebook. So we're going to be covering all of that today in this short presentation. So I'd recommend take some notes and yeah, like I said, just save the questions for the end. Now, first thing I wanted to get into, just a little bit of background on myself. I know it's not about me, but I just want to give you a little bit of context as to who I am. And then we'll get into all of the value. So my name is Kyle Sutton. I'm a realtor here at eXp Realty. I'm based here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Now I have about 5 years in experience with digital advertising. And I was actually trained by some of the top digital marketers of our age. Some of the guys that spend literally millions of dollars per year on Facebook ads have been able to train me. And I've learned from their experience, took that training that I got from them, and I built and scaled multiple e-commerce brands into the six-figure mark only through Facebook and Instagram ads, solely through that, of course, through some, follow-up email marketing, things like that. But all of the clients initially came in directly through my Facebook and Instagram campaigns. Now that's from anything from, I was selling things from fitness bands to novelty lighters to different types of t-shirts, anything you can possibly think of. I was selling all different types of products. And that's where I really got my foundational knowledge of Facebook ads. And I took that knowledge and now I'm applying it to my real estate business. So with that all being said, let's get right into it. So first off, I just want to talk about why Facebook, why it's so important, and why you, as a realtor, you need to be using Facebook in order to get leads and why it's so powerful. So first off, as you guys know, Facebook has over 4 billion users between Facebook and Instagram, and it's used daily by people of all ages. So your target buyers, sellers, or investors, they're all probably on either Facebook, Instagram, or both. And the main advantage of using Facebook ads is you do also target Instagram. And Instagram is where you're going to find some of the, the younger crowd, whereas on Facebook, you're going to start to see some of the older crowd a little bit up in the age group on the Facebook side. Now, one of the most powerful things with Facebook is the targeting options. So retargeting, if you guys don't know what that is, or remarketing, it's sometimes also called, it's the ability to send ads to somebody that's already interacted with your business. Now we'll get into some detail about that a little bit later, but this is one of the most powerful tools. And it's the way that you kind of see where, you're getting followed around by a certain company. It's through retargeting. Now, the other thing that's super important and super powerful is the strategic location targeting. Now, if you know, especially if you know about certain cities, areas, states, provinces, countries that people are moving to your city, area, or country, then you can actually target those countries for buyers that are looking to relocate. For example, as some of you guys may know, a place like California right now in the US, there's a lot of people in California that are moving into southern states like Texas. So if you know that, what you can do is you can target people that are looking to relocate in California and bring them over and help them buy a home here or there in Texas. Now, the next thing is Facebook intelligence. Now, Facebook, the way I like to put it is Facebook knows you better than you know you, because they know everything you've done on the internet because of what's called the Facebook pixel and the pixel tracking. So what a pixel is, it's pretty much this little piece of code that's placed on websites, and every single website that uses Facebook ads, they will have a pixel which tracks all of your information. That's where, if you go onto a website looking for, beds or, kitchen appliances, and then later on Facebook, you'll start seeing ads for those beds or kitchen appliances or whatever. It's because Facebook saw that you were on one of those types of websites, you didn't purchase, so they're going to start to send you ads in order to get you to actually purchase. The other thing is that your ads will improve over time. As you continue to spend money on Facebook ads, Facebook starts to learn who your ideal customer and client are, and your ads will continually get smarter and smarter and actually improve as Facebook continues to automatically optimize your ads. And the last part there is the lookalike audiences. And this is probably one of the most powerful tools that Facebook has. What it is you have the ability to tell Facebook to find people that are just like your past clients. Now, this is something that works incredible for people that have a big sphere or people that have a large database of past clients, or even people that do a lot of prospecting. If you're doing a lot of door knocking and cold calling, you get a lot of people's, name, phone number, email, things like that. You can actually tell Facebook to find people that are very, very similar to those people that have already purchased from you. And the last thing I wanted to touch on here is the omnipresence. Now, because you have the ability to show people your ads on all these different platforms, what it does, it allows you to keep top of mind for all of your potential prospects and clients. That way, you're the one when they do decide to buy, sell, or invest, you're the one that they're thinking of because they see you everywhere. And it's also something that increases your results of your other advertising. So like I said, if you are doing any sort of prospecting, whether that's cold calling or door knocking, you get their info, or if you're advertising on other avenues and you get people coming to your website, that's where you can actually go back into the retargeting and continue to send them ads. And I would say one of the most important things is the ability for leverage. So the biggest thing with Facebook ads and really all types of advertising is you have the ability to generate leads, generate clients while you're sleeping. Last night while I was sleeping, I got multiple leads through my Facebook ads because other people are still searching on Facebook while you're not. And that allows me today, I can start the day with a fresh list of brand new leads that are looking to purchase what I'm obviously advertising. Now, the next thing I wanted to dive into here are three of the most common myths that we hear when it comes to Facebook ads. Those being iOS updates, fake information, and the dreaded special ads category. So we'll start off with the iOS updates. Now, everybody says, well, now that iOS 15, iOS 14.5, all these different iPhone updates, you can't properly run Facebook ads. Now, especially when it comes to real estate, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Because you're in real estate, typically your ads are going to be lead generation focused, on Facebook focused. iOS updates do not affect you that much. Now, the iOS updates really do affect if you do have something like an e-commerce store or if you're selling high ticket products because they can't track the proper sales like they used to. Now, when it comes to lead gen, they can still track it. And honestly, this is actually one of the biggest benefits that you have is because the more people that are afraid of advertising on Facebook and don't advertise on Facebook, all that means for you is that your ads actually become cheaper and more effective. Now, number two is fake information. Now, I hear a lot of people say, well, I've tried Facebook ads and most of the people, I just get fake phone numbers, fake emails, and all that kind of stuff. Now, does that happen? Of course, it does. You're going to get some people that are going to be giving you fake information, but there's ways around it. And it starts with, and we're going to dive into this a little bit later, is the different types of audiences that you're targeting. And a lot of people, what they do is they try to go for the close before they've even warmed up their audience. So we're going to go into that a little bit later, but also the biggest thing is you have to lead with value. Give them a reason to actually give you real information, and they will. Now, the final thing is a special ads category. Now, a special ads category, what that is, if you guys don't know, it's because real estate ads are relating to housing, there's a special category that you have to place your ads in, which limit your targeting. Now, because of that, what that means is that you cannot target age, you cannot target gender. Now, and a few other targeting options as well, depending on your country. Now, the thing is, because of, like I mentioned with Facebook intelligence, Facebook already knows who your ideal customer and client are. So even if you can't properly target age groups or gender, Facebook is already only going to show your ads to the ideal age groups and gender in the area that you're looking at. The biggest downside, of course, is the radius. So you have to target a minimum of 15-mile radius. So if you are looking for hyper local areas, that's the one big downside of the special ads category. But with everything else, it doesn't really impact your ads that much. Now, the next thing I wanted to go into here are the 5 common mistakes that I see most people make when it comes to Facebook ads. I call these the 5 T's of Facebook. So you got targeting, timing, tracking, testing, and transitioning. So let's start with targeting. So targeting goes into, number one, I see a lot of people try to overcomplicate the targeting process. They try to add way too many different types of interests and areas and all the different kinds of stuff, which confuses Facebook and it doesn't get you the results that you're looking for. What you typically want to do, and to be honest with you, some of my best campaigns I've ever ran had absolutely zero targeting besides the actual area. Everything else, I left it up to Facebook. And because of the Facebook intelligence, they're able to find the right client. Also, we're going to get into this next when it comes to the different types of audiences. Again, you're targeting cold audiences with hot audience ads, and that's why you're not getting the results that you're looking for. Now, number 2 is timing. Timing meaning that a lot of people, what they do, especially if they're new to Facebook ads, they'll start a campaign, they didn't get a ton of leads in 2 days, and they'll turn the campaign off. Now, especially if you have a brand new fresh ad account, never ran an ad before ever, it's very important to let Facebook do their optimization, let the ad campaign run and see the performance that you get. Now, if a week goes by and you're still not getting the results that you're looking for, yes, maybe it's time to start tweaking some things, but you can't really make a strong decision after 2 days or 3 days, especially on a fresh ad account. And that moves me into tracking. Now, it's very important to be tracking your ads to see which ads are working and why. But more importantly, there's certain KPIs you need to track. So KPIs, key performance indicators, are key stats that Facebook gives you that you need to know in order to properly understand why your ads are working or why they're not. Now, the most simple one, of course, is going to be the number of leads and the cost per lead. Those are going to be the easiest ones to see, but there's other stats that lead into those numbers, things like CPM or cost per thousand. How much does it actually cost to deliver the ads? Click-through rate. How much are people actually clicking on the ads? If it's something like a video, are people only watching the first 2 seconds and then leaving, or are they watching the full video? So there's multiple different things that you can look at in order to properly optimize your ads, and that goes right into testing. Now, what I like to do anytime I launch a new ad campaign, I always like to test multiple creatives. And I'll show you in just a second some creative testing strategies that you can do in order to properly test your ads. But you do need to have multiple different creatives to test in order to see what is working and what's not. But you do need to be tracking things properly so you know what to test. For example, like I said, if people are only watching the first 2 seconds of your video, maybe you need to work on the first couple seconds to make it more engaging and grab people's attention. Now, the last one there, this is one of the most important, is the transitioning. So transitioning someone from a lead into a client or a customer. Now, most people do not have a proper follow-up system in place in order to get people from a lead to convert them into a client. If you don't have a proper system in place, you're just going to be wasting a lot of money and you're not going to be getting the clients that you're looking for because you never actually follow up with them and continue to work with them until the point where they're ready to buy. So after that, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about, are the 3 different types of audiences. So you have cold audiences, warm audiences, and hot audiences. Now, cold, these are people that they don't know you, never heard of you, they don't trust you. Warm, they don't really know you, but they may have heard about you before, and they might have some little amount of trust. And then lastly, a hot audience, they know you, they like you, and they trust you, they're ready to go right away. Now, the thing is, a cold audience, this is where you want to start to warm them up with information about yourself, some more brand awareness, and we'll touch on that in just a second, to move them along the process so they're more familiar with you, to get them to the point where they're warm and they have a little bit of trust, they have a little bit of familiarity with yourself until they get to the point where they're now a hot audience, they're ready to buy, and they're ready to actually move forward with whatever you're trying to do, whether they're a buyer, seller, or an investor. Now, the best way I like to think about this is what a lot of people try to do on Facebook is they go to a cold audience and they send them hot ads. So the easiest way I can think about that is, let's say you were door knocking again, for example, and you knock on the door, they don't know you. And the moment they open the door, you give them a contract to sign. Now, that's not going to work because they don't know, like, and trust you yet. So by using different strategic ads, you're able to warm them up and get to them to the point where they do know, like, and trust you, and they are willing to actually move forward with you as their agent. Now, the next thing I wanted to go into here are the different types of ads. So there's sort of 2 different categories of ads that you can run, one being brand awareness and one being lead generation. Now, brand awareness, especially if you have a brand new fresh ad account with no ads, never ran an ad before, I strongly recommend running some ads that are going to build up your brand awareness. Now, these are things like a short video about you or your company or your brokerage, even moving tips, buying tips, selling tips, investing tips, best restaurants in the area, best neighborhoods in the area, things like that to get people to know you without you really asking for much. Then what you can do is you can follow up from those ads and move into lead generation ads, which is truly what you want. These are things like just listed, just sold ads, pre-construction ads, custom list of homes. Now, some of the other ones that work incredible are buyer's guide, seller's guide, investor's guides, where you can actually give them some value. Now, when you give them some value, what they're going to do is they're going to reciprocate by giving you their proper contact info, especially in the case with something like a buyer's guide or a seller's guide. They actually want that guide. They're not going to give you fake information because they do want to read it. They are looking to buy. They are looking to sell. Now, here I'm going to show you a couple examples of a couple different ads that you can run. These are some of the highest converting ads that we found that we've ran. So we have the pre-construction ad, we have just listed, and we also have the custom list of homes. So I'll start from left to right. So pre-construction, these are what I've found to be the #1 best ads for me in my market. where you're talking about newly coming up pre-construction projects. If this is something that's very popular in the market that you work in, I would highly recommend these ads because you don't need any listings, you don't need anything like that. All you need is access to the project. And what you're getting are people that are interested in the information. You're giving them value that most people don't have. And a lot of times you're actually working with investors, which is incredible because, as you guys probably know, the investors are probably going to purchase from you more times than, just a standard buyer and seller. Next one is the just listed. Now, if you just listed a property, you definitely want to put these out because not only will this help you attract buyers for your property, but what it'll also do is give you the ability to find people that are also looking to sell and they see you promoting another property. Now, these are great also if you're brand new, never done a deal before, no listings, nothing like that. You just ask somebody in your brokerage that if you can use a photo from their listing and post an ad just like that. Because this actually ad I have an example of here in the middle, it's actually an example of, that's not my listing, it's a listing from somebody in my brokerage, asked them to use it, and I generated multiple leads from that specific ad there. Last one there, this is one of the most popular ads, is the custom list of homes. Now, the custom list of homes, what it is, it's you give people a list of homes under a certain price point for your market. So for example, here is a custom list of condos under $1 million here in Toronto. Now, the reason why these work so well is because you're giving people value, you're giving them something they want to know. They want to know about all these different units or homes within a certain price point, and you're giving it to them completely for free. All they need to do is fill out their information. Now, the one caveat with this is what I'll say is you do need to have an IDX website or an MLS integrated website. So your website needs to have some way where you can set up a custom search for specific properties. Now here, we're at EXP here, and at EXP we get KV Core, which is IDX integrated, meaning that it has every single property in my market updating in real time. Now, if you don't have a website like that, there are some ways you can get around it, but really the best way these work is if you have those type of websites where you can actually send people that to those websites there. So next thing I'm going to talk about here are testing. So like I said earlier, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they do not do proper testing. If you don't test, you're not going to know what's going to work. And one thing I'll say here before I continue about testing is it's incredibly important to sort of take yourself out of it. Don't get emotional. And understand that what your client and your customer is looking for may not be what you think that they're looking for. For example, on the left-hand side here, I have these 4 different photos here. 3 of them are from the same property. One of them is from the other property I showed you guys earlier. Now, I didn't know which one would work the best, but after running the ad, I found actually this ad performed the best, the one outside the building and the one of the bathroom. I was also running a beautiful ad of the inside the living room of the home, which looked incredible. That was the one I thought would do the best, or even the kitchen I thought would do the best. But because I properly tested these ads, I was able to discover that outside the building and the photo of the bathroom ended up actually doing better. Now, the creative, the actual image or video is what's going to provide the biggest difference when it comes to testing. If it's an image, you can test different images and things like that can, different images from the home or different types of images. The reason why I have this big red banner here at the top is because it's what's called a scroll stopper. Now, that's one of the other things you want to test. Something that's going to disrupt people's pattern of just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. They see a big red banner. Does it look the greatest? Probably not, but does it catch your attention? Absolutely. And that's the whole idea of having this big, bright red banner right at the top of the ad. Now, if it's a video, the most important thing you want to test really is the first couple seconds of the video. That's where people are going to decide whether they're going to keep scrolling or if they're going to continue to listen to your content. So that's what's going to make the biggest difference. Next thing that's going to make the big difference is the copy. So the actual advertising copy that you're writing, the description and the headline of the ad. So these 2 here are 2 examples of some very similar ads that I've ran in the past with different copy ideas. And I found that this one here with a little bit more energy, a little bit more fun to it, that worked out much better than the standard one that's, a little bit more simple and a little bit more boring. Now, you can also test out things like long form versus short form and things like that. Emojis, no emojis. There's all different types of things you can test in terms of the copy. But what I found, I can tell you guys now, is in my experience with real estate, short form typically works better unless you're writing something like a story about how you helped your buyer, your seller, your investor, things like that. That's something that would look incredible in a long form content where you write out sort of the whole story and it gets people to really engage with you. Now, lastly is targeting. And what I mean by targeting is the audience that you're looking to attract. Now, whether that's buyers versus sellers versus investors versus renters versus commercial or whatever, there's different ways you can test. And under that, there's also even more things you can test once you find out which type of buyer you want or which type of seller you want. There's things like houses versus condos versus pre-construction and things like that. So you want to test different types of ads to find out what works best. Now, I've tested a ton of different ads, and as I mentioned earlier, what's worked out hands down the best for me are buyers that are looking for pre-construction projects, because that's something that a lot of people don't even have access to. So it really gives people a lot of value, and I find I get the best results from that. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention here before we wrap up here is the follow-up. Now, this is one of the biggest reasons why realtors never convert any of their online leads, is they don't have a proper follow-up system in place. Ideally, you have some sort of CRM database nurturing system in place to actually help you follow up with your leads. For example, like I said here at EXP, we have KV Core. Now, KV Core has a system in place where once a lead comes in, automatically assigns it to a campaign where they're constantly contacted with all of your different content over time to keep you top of mind. Now, most leads, they will not close in the first contact. Some of them, they may not even answer you on the first time you call them or reach out to them. The average online lead takes 8 to 12 touches to actually convert. Now, what do I mean by touches? Well, that doesn't mean you have to call them 12 times. Sending them an email, sending them a market report, sending them a text, calling them. Those are all different ways that you can touch and make contact with them in order to convert. And the craziest part out of all of this is most real estate agents do not follow up even one time. So if you're the agent that is following all the practices I just went over in order to generate the leads that you're looking for, plus you're the guy that actually follows up, stays in contact, and provides your client with the best service possible, you're going to be the one that gets the business, while all the other realtors are saying Facebook ads don't work because they don't properly understand how to actually make it work.